Hi and welcome to today's tutorial. I'm Lisa and this is the OhSewGecko channel. Today's tutorial we are sewing the Juno Clutch Wallet from SewGnar. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Nicole for allowing me to sew your pattern and create this video today. This video is part of the Marathon Society Sewing Marathon. So once you finish watching this video, make sure you go back and watch all the other videos created by the other sewists. So if you haven't seen the Juno Clutch Wallet, here it is. It's a really lovely size. You can see sort of my hand shows you how big it is. It's really not huge, but it has so much inside. Let's have a look. So I've created mine using magnetic snaps, but there are instructions for using other types of snaps as well. When we open it up, you can see lemons. I do love lemons, and there are lots and lots of lemons around here in Spain at the moment. So first of all, we've got our card slots. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 8. And then look, there are 8 more here as well. So that's 16 card slots, which is loads. You've also got a little slip pocket here and another one here at the bottom. And then the best bit, I definitely learned something new here, is this amazing zip pocket on the back. Now, I've never sewn a zip pocket like this before. Obviously, I've sewn normal zip pockets, but not like this one. So you'll notice we've got some stitching down here. And the reason for that is, if I can open my zip pocket, we've got this fabulous gusset here to allow your zip pocket to open more, which is fantastic, because how many times have you been to the supermarket or somewhere else and you're fiddling around in a flat zip pocket on the outside trying to find your change? Well, this one opens up really nicely, really easy. And to be honest, I was a little bit worried about sewing it, but it came together so quickly, so easily, really had nothing to worry about at all. Obviously, as always, mine is sewn in cork. You can also sew this pattern up in vinyl or any non-fraying fabric. You will need some ultra firm stabilizer for the flap and for the back panels. But other than that, you don't really need anything at all. It's super simple and sews up really quickly. If while you're watching, you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to give it a like and maybe subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. For now, let's get sewing our Juno Clutch Wallet. Starting off with pattern pieces, we've got 2 of the main panel, 1 exterior and 1 lining. I've used the same colour cork for both of mine, but of course you can change them if you want to. And we've got the card back panels, we just need 1 of these. I've done mine in yellow. I've got 2 card panel A, 6 card slots. I've done 2 in this lovely stripy lemon cork, 2 in a plain lemon colour and 2 in the green. I've got 1 zipper gusset, and it does tell you to cut it on the wrong side. So when you get your pattern piece, you're going to cut it this way round, and then we can flip it over. Again, I've done this one in green. This is card panel B. I've got 1 of these, and again, I've done it in this really cute stripy lemon fabric. So this one is a cotton fabric. It's actually Portuguese cotton. This one came from the Gecko box summer last year. I had some left over and I thought it would go really well. So this is the zipper lining pocket top piece, and I've interfaced that with a medium weight fusible interfacing. This piece, again, same fabric. This one is the zipper lining pocket bottom. And again, I've interfaced this with the non-woven fusible interfacing. Now you'll notice that the interfacing is smaller than the fabric. It gives you the instructions for this on your pattern piece when you print them off. Okay, put that over to one side. So this is my ultra firm stabilizer. I've used Decaville Heavy, and I've got 3 different stabilizers pieces cut out here. So I've got the lower stabilizer, the mid stabilizer, and the flap stabilizer. So all 3 of those are cut in Decaville Heavy. Okay, I've also got 2 magnetic snaps here. and a piece of number 5 zipper tape and a pull attached to that. All of this hardware again came from the Gecko box, as well as all your fabrics. Obviously we need the usual suspects, so I've got my rotary cutter, thread snips, seam ripper, always need a seam ripper somewhere, some clips. I've got some double-sided tape. This one is a 1/4 inch or 5-6 millimeters. I've got some marking tools. So I've got 2 chalk markers and a normal pencil. I like using a normal pencil. This particular type of chalk marker, the one with the little wheel on it, remember you can only use this on the back of cork. You can't use it on the front of cork because it will mark it and it doesn't come off. Trust me, I've done it. I've got my ruler. My ruler is in centimeters. This pattern has instructions for centimeters and inches. So you can have a ruler with centimeters, ruler with inches. It really doesn't matter. My one's in centimeters for today. And I've got some textile fabric glue. That is for the edges of my cork. So I've already used my lighter and burnt around the edges of all of my cork pieces, and I'll be using my fabric glue to seal the edges later. As I go through, as always, I might find there's something extra that I haven't got here. There's usually something else like glue or something, but I'll tell you about that as we go through, if I find anything. So I'm going to start with top stitching my card slot pieces and my card panel B. You'll notice on the card panel B, I've made some marks. Those marks you can find on your pattern piece or in the pattern instructions. So I'm going to top stitch all of these pieces using a 3.5 millimeter stitch length. That's all of those pieces top stitched, so we'll put those over to one side, and we're going to bring in the card panel back and the one of the card panel A. Okay. So I'm going to flip over the card panel back, and you'll see I've made some marks on the back here. These marks can be found on the pattern piece or in your pattern instructions. I'm going to take my card panel A and I'm going to lay these wrong sides together. Okay, lining up the top edge of the card panel A with the card panel back. Line that up straight. And I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew a line across here, 3.5 millimeter stitch length, same as the top stitching before, and 1/8 of an inch in from the top. There we are, stitched across the top. I'm going to bring in one of my card slots. I'm using the lemon one. So I'm going to alternate them, and I know that my final card panel B on the top is going to be the lemon one. So I'm going to start with this one so I can alternate them. I'm going to line this up with the bottom edge of my card panel A, lining up these 2 edges here, and I'm going to stitch across the bottom edge here, 3.5 millimeter stitch length, again 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Bringing in the next card slot, I'm going to line that up with this next line here across that bottom edge, and again lining up the sides at the same time. And I'm going to stitch across the bottom edge exactly the same as we did before. There we are, that's the next one, sewn in place. Let's take our last one, 3, I'm going to line it up here with the next line, making sure that the edges are lined up as well, and again we're going to stitch across the bottom. There we are, so 1, 2, 3 card slots and a card panel A. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my other 3 card slots and card panel A. I'm going to turn this upside down and I'm going to repeat the exact same process that we did here up here. So I'm going to add card panel A, top stitch, then I'm going to add, what came next? Oh, the lemons, line that up with the bottom edge. Then we're going to add the yellow one lined up with this line here. Then we're going to add the green one lined up with this line here. Okay, so then 1, 2, 3 stitched across the bottom and the card panel A stitched across the top. So that's all of those stitched on both sides. Now I'm bringing back my card panel B. Now you'll see, just move that to one side. You'll see that my card panel B is directional somewhat. It has vertical stripes, but actually these lemons need to be up the right way. It does mean that on one side my lemons are upside down. I'm not bothered by that. It is what it is, it's absolutely fine, but something to bear in mind if you're using a directional print. So I'm going to bring back my panel here, and this is my card slot panel B, and you'll see I've marked a line here on the front, and we've still got this center line here. So I'm going to line up the edge of my card panel B, lining up these two center marks here. I'm going to clip that in place. Now you will notice that my cork has shifted a little bit, and so I've got some edges showing here and there. Once I've sewn this piece on, I'm going to trim up the edges of either side. So don't panic too much if at the moment you find that your card slots, like mine, are ever so slightly aligned. We can trim that up. It will be absolutely fine. Okay. So now I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch vertically down the center, starting at this one here, going all the way down through the center to the other side, finishing at this card slot here. And I'm going to back stitch really well at each of these card slots, because those will be stress points from when you're putting your cards in and out. There we are. So I've trimmed up the edges and everything. That looks much better. Now I have just noticed, and I will put this in a note earlier in the video when I edit it, but I have just noticed that I have top stitched one side of the card panel B, but I actually forgot to top stitch the other side of the card panel B. Now, not a complete disaster, because at the moment, if you do what I did, I can still top stitch one side and then turn it, bend this back and top stitch the other side. So not a complete disaster. I'm going to go and top stitch these two pieces now. Okay, there we go. Not perfect, because obviously I can't get right into the center, but it doesn't matter. Luckily for me, I've got a leaf here, and my thread is fairly similar, so it doesn't show up too much, I don't think. Alternatively, you could unpick all of this and redo it, but I think it's fine. It'll be okay. Okay, next we're taking our main panel. This is the lining piece. As I say, mine are both the same colour, so it doesn't really matter. But this one is the lining, and I've got my 3 stabilizers. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that I've made 2 marks at the top of the main panel. Those are for the magnetic snaps, so make sure you mark those first. Then turning over, you'll see I've got some marks on the back. So the first thing I've done is I've found the midpoint, because I need to line up my stabilizers. So I found the midpoint of my interior panel, and I've also found the midpoint of my 3 stabilizer pieces, just to make it easier. Now, the measurements for these lines here are all in your pattern instructions, either on the pattern pieces or in the instructions. Really clear. It's in centimeters and inches, so easy to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flap stabilizer, line it up centrally with this line here that I've made, lining up with the top edge. Okay, put that in place. Then I'm going to take my mid stabilizer, again lining up centrally and lining up with this line that I've marked here. Make sure it's not wonky, it probably will be. And then lastly, I've got my lower stabilizer, which is going to line up with this line here, and again centrally. Now you have a choice. You can either iron these on, it's fairly easy to do, Personally, I prefer to iron the back of the cork first to heat it up, just to get it nice and warm. Then I put this on. You are supposed to iron from the other side, but I usually iron from this side first and then turn over and use a press cloth on the front of your cork just in case. And then from that, with all the residual heat from ironing beforehand, it should stick to it fairly well. Alternatively, if you're a little bit nervous about that, or maybe your cork isn't such good quality as mine, you can use double-sided tape to stick these in place. I think for today, just because it's super, super quick, I'm going to use the double-sided tape. There we are, so that's stuck down. It doesn't matter that they're coming up a little bit at the edges. Remember, this is all going to be stitched down, so it'll be absolutely fine, don't panic. Right, so we've got the male part of the magnetic snaps that we're going to attach. So let me turn this over. If you remember, I've already marked my points here. So I'm going to take my washer, line up this point centrally with this hole in the center here, mark 2 lines. Oh, a little bit fiddly. Hang on. Let's try that again. 1, 2. I'll do the same on the other side. 1, 2. Now I'm going to take a craft knife and I'm going to cut through these holes here. So I've lost my little cutting board, so I'm just going to take some cork. This is an offcut, look, it's the selvage edge. So I'm just going to take that and place it underneath so as I can do this on camera for you. So just take my craft knife, put it in carefully and slice through. It's better to make the hole smaller than to make it bigger. Remember, you can always make it bigger, but if you make it too big, your magnetic snap is going to be wiggling around a little bit, which is not good. So 1, 2. There we go, that's gone through my cork, but hasn't touched my desk, so that's good. Now, take the first magnetic snap. Remember, we're putting the male portion on, that's the thinner part, okay? Push that through there to the back, put our washer on. If you want, you can put another piece of Decaville or something over the top. I'm going to push my pieces out to the side. Some people like to fold them into the middle, but I find that that makes it quite bulky. So I like to push mine out to the sides, and it also means that these edges here are now digging into my Decaville heavy, which will protect my cork from the other side. The same on this one. Put the washer on. Oh, there we go. Push that out to the sides. If you find this is too much for your fingers, you can see what it's done to my thumbs. You can use a ruler. Metal rulers are fantastic for this, but I've actually left mine over on my cutting table, but that's okay. There we go. And so if you want now, you can put something over the top of this just to protect your cork or whatever fabric it is that you're using. Right, let's get started on adding this pocket. So you will need the exterior main panel, your 2 pocket pieces, your zipper tape and pull attached, and the zipper gusset piece. And we're just going to work with the lining bottom piece. Now this is the one where we've got the interfacing over to one side. So I'm just going to add some double-sided tape here, just a little bit. Along there. Okay, and using my interfacing as my fold line, just take the back off of this. Ooh. Put it on that edge there. Pull that off. I'm using this as the fold line, so I'm going to fold this wrong sides together. Let's make sure it stays nice and neat. A little bit fiddly because obviously it's thinner fabric. Oh, let's check I haven't gone too far. No, that's fine. There we go. That's folded down. Let's start with our zipper tape. So I want my pull attached so as it goes to the left when closed and to the right when open. So we go right open, left closed. And then on this left edge, I've measured in a distance from here, and that measurement can be found in your pattern instructions. I've also taken a lighter and just melted the edge of my zipper tape to stop it from fraying. So I'm just going to need a pin. I'm going to pull this apart just to give myself a little bit of space, keeping this together if you can. Now, only with the bottom edge. We're not doing anything with the top edge, we're doing with the bottom edge. We're going to pinch this at that line that we mark, so it's wrong sides together, and you'll see it automatically bends. Okay, let me show you that again. So where that line is, we're going to pinch, bend, and then I'm going to fold this up so as it lines up with my zipper teeth, and put a pin in there just to keep it in place. There we go. Okay. Ooh. Look at the back, we've got a really nice 45 degree angle there. Okay. Only this side, not the other one, so just the bottom edge. Okay, I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm just going to baste across this edge here just to hold that in place so as I can take the pin away. There we are, so it's stitched just there. I'm going to take a pair of scissors, just cut off that little bit of extra tape there so as it all lines up nice and neatly. There we go. Okay, so I made a couple of little mistakes. I've actually unpicked everything. So if you can see some pieces of thread and everything else, it's because I don't know, bad day. So let's start again. Right, so this is my exterior fabric. You'll see that I have cut out the box for the zip and then cut the extra line down here. That's for the zipper gusset. I've got my bottom zipper pocket piece, the zipper gusset, and the zip with the 90 degree angle on it. I've got some double-sided tape here. So I'm going to take the double-sided tape and I'm going to place it along the top and bottom of here. Oh, we don't want to overlap there, so we'll just put that close to the edge, a little bit long, that's okay. Let's peel this off. One, two. Okay, so I'm going to take my zipper and I'm going to line up this curved edge here, which is the bottom one, with the edge here and lining up the zipper centrally in the box. So let's put the zipper pull through first. And I want to line up this so as it's about 1/8 of an inch or 2 or 3 millimeters from this edge here. So let's turn this over. Let's get this centered. Oh, which is not very centered at all. Zipper pull out of the way. Oops. There we go, it's about right there. There we go, so you can see it's a few millimeters away from the edge here. Actually, I might pull that back just a little more because we're going to need to be able to stitch along that open edge. There we go. I'm going to line some double-sided tape along the bottom edge of this zipper tape. Along here. Oh, too much again. There we go. Peel that off. Okay, now taking our bottom pocket panel, you can see it's already got double-sided tape on it. This is where I unstuck it earlier. I'm going to put it right side down, lining up the bottom edge that doesn't have any interfacing with the bottom edge of my zipper, with the zipper, and lining up this folded edge with this edge here. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to stitch across this bottom edge here with a 3.5mm stitch length, 1/8 of an inch or 2-3 millimeters from this edge. So I'm going from the end here across. I'm not crossing this cut line here, and I'm going to leave the ends long on the threads so as I can pull them through to the back and make them nice and neat. Okay, there we go. So that's stitched across there. And our pocket lining is lined up with the edge. So now I'm going to flip this down using my interfacing to create the fold there, and you'll find that your folded edge lines up nicely with this cut edge here. It works out well. There we go. So now I'm bringing back the zipper gusset and turn it over. I'm just going to put some double-sided tape along that short edge, just along here. Now I'm going to line up this short edge here with the cut line at the side here. You'll see I've made a mark. I know I've marked it longer, but this is the end of it. So I'm going to line that up, that's straight, with that cut line there. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to flip this over to the front, and I'm going to stitch a line down the side here, which will sandwich my zipper, outer, gusset piece and lining fabric all in one. Okay, to make a nice little zipper sandwich. Okay, there we go. So that's stitched down the side. You can see we've got like a little sandwich here. A little bit wonky on the stitching, doesn't matter, it's fine. It looks okay from the front. So I'm going to pull my zipper pull back out of the way, just because for me it makes it a little bit easier. I flip this over, let's make sure that's still sticking down, and take some double-sided tape. Not too much. Ooh, that's sticking to me. I'm going to put some double-sided tape down the side here. Side down the edge. Pull that off. Now we're going to fold this gusset piece in half, and I'm going to use this tape here to stick it down. Now I'm using a 1/4 inch tape, which is perfect because this needs to end a 1/4 inch from this edge. So that works out really, really well for me. If you haven't got 1/4 inch tape, then you can just measure a 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters and line it up there. It doesn't matter. Nicole says in her video and in the pattern that you don't really have to measure it, so long as it's more or less, it'll be absolutely fine. So making sure that's lined up, stick that down. Okay, so mine doesn't line up completely, but going and looking, I think I've brought this across a little bit further. So actually it's a bit long, a bit more than the 1/4 inch. Just lined it up here because we're going to bring in our second pocket piece. Now you need to make sure, see mine is somewhat directional in the fact that the oranges and the lemons sort of seem to face this way up. So I'm going to place it right side down on top of here, and I need to make sure that the edges of my pocket pieces all match up. And obviously this bit is a little bit further over, so I've shifted it slightly over to the side to make sure that that all lines up nicely. Taking that away again. take some double-sided tape and I'm going to line that up across the top edge of my zipper tape. And I'm lining up the top edge of my zipper pocket top edge lined up with the top edge of the zipper tape and lining up down the side as well. So this all lines up perfectly. Okay. Just make sure that's all okay. Yep, see, that will open nicely. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, that's lined up well. That's just that. It's all okay. Right. Now, we could just go and top stitch all around the edge, but Nicole has said that the easiest thing to do is to actually sew up these free edges first, because it makes it much easier than when you have to top stitch around the edge. So, okay, so sorry, the sun's coming around a little bit, so you've now got a little bit of sun in this top corner. I'm going to try and be as quick as I can before the whole thing gets flooded with sunlight. So we're going to stitch up the coin pocket first before we top stitch. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine. I'm going to pull this back out of the way. I'm going to stitch down this side here. So this is the open end of the zipper tape, not the curved end that we did earlier. So I'm going to stitch down the side here. Then I'm going to pivot, fold this back, and I'm going to sew across the bottom edge, and that will close up all the way to the end. And that will close up my coin pocket. There we go, so that's stitched up across there. Now, starting from the front and starting at the bottom edge here, I'm going to sew across, up the side, across the top, and back down the other side, joining up with my stitch lines here and here. Still using a 3.5mm stitch length and an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around. Right, there we go. So that is done. Happy with that? Perfect. Right, before we move on and bring everything together, let's attach the female part of the magnetic snap. So you can see I've already made these marks here for the placement. As I said earlier, those marks can be found in the pattern instructions. Let's line up that point, make my 2 lines, bring that across, let's do the same. Oh, didn't see that. Okay, let's try that again. Line this up, line up the washer with the mark our 2 lines. Okay, I'll see I've already done that side, which you couldn't see. And let's bring back our craft knife and my little piece of cork, which has run away. So let's find another little piece of cork that's hanging around. Again, we've got selvage edge here, that'll be fine. Okay, taking our craft knife, cutting through. Remember, don't make it too long, otherwise your magnetic snap will be rolling around all over the place. There we go. Here's my female part, so put 1 through there, turn that over. Now you can put a little piece of Deckerville here if you have some handy. Here we go, so some 2 little squares of Deckerville. I'm just going to take the washer, and do the same as I did before, just mount 2 little lines. It doesn't matter which way around, it's absolutely fine, so long as we've got lines marked. Okay, this one. 2. There we go. So I'm going to put this is the sticky side, so I'm going to put it sticky side down. Okay. Pull out those prongs. Oh, let's put the washer on. Pull those out to the side. There we go. Now that will support that magnetic snap a little bit better. So same with this one. Let's push that through. Lost the holes. There we go. Decaville on. Magnetic snap. There we go. That will just give that a bit of extra support. Okay, so I apologise, this sunshine is really coming across now. We're almost finished, so I don't really want to move my sewing station, so we're just gonna muddle on and I'm gonna hope that the video comes out okay. Right, so moving our card slots over to one side for the moment, we've got our exterior panel and our lining panel, and we're gonna put them wrong sides together. So turning this over, I'll start with the lining. I've got some thicker double-sided tape here, and I'm going to put that across each of these stabilizer pieces. Should give me a nice wide range. It's just to help. It doesn't matter if it's perfect or not. We're going to be stitching down anyway. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with the top. Take off 1, 2, okay. Making sure I've got everything the right side up. So this is the top and this is the top. Line up those top edges as best I can. Try and get them as perfectly lined up as possible. Okay, and we'll stick that down. Okay, now we're going to take off the next one. Again, bring that down, making sure we're lining up. Line up the sides correctly. Both sides. Remember, cork has some give in it. It is a little stretchy, so we can manoeuvre it a little. Okay. Okay, how are we doing? Let's just double check both sides. Actually, that's lined up really, really well. Okay, last one. Okay. Now, make sure you line up this bottom edge first. Make sure the sides are lined up. Actually, that's lined really, really well. See, this is shifted a little. Just peel that off a bit. Bring that up. There we go. Okay, so that's stuck together. Now we're going to bring across our card slot panel. Now remember, I've got lemons here. They are directional, so I'm going to make sure that they are the right way up. This is the top flap, so I want them going this way. Now I'm going to measure up a distance from, let's just turn it sideways, sorry. This is the top, turning sideways. I'm going to measure up a distance from the bottom and make some marks across. Okay, I don't know if you can see, so I've got 1, 2, 3 marks. Okay, I'm going to use those, remember this is the top, right way up. I'm going to use those to line up the bottom edge of my card slot panel with that line, those dotted lines that I've just made, and lining it up centrally. Now I did trim mine down a little bit, but actually, although I've trimmed it down, it's still fairly well lined up. If yours doesn't line up, you might need to trim it down a little bit afterwards. We'll see what happens with mine in the end. Okay, so this is really exciting. So we're almost done, yay. Okay, so I have measured down from the top edge a distance which is given in the pattern instructions, and I've created this line here. Then I've measured up from the bottom edge a distance in the pattern instructions, and I have made this mark here. So I've also rubbed out the center line that was there earlier. I've used my rubber for my pencil. You can still see it a little bit, it'll be fine. Okay, so joining all of this together now, I'm going to start here at this top corner here, and I'm going to stitch down the side all the way past the first line to this line here. Then I'm going to stitch across this line, back up the other side, all the way to the top, across the top, and back down again. When I've done that, I turn it around. Starting at this point here, I'm going to come down the side to this line. So obviously earlier on we sewed to this one because we're upside down now. To this line here, come across, up the side, and back across the top. So we will be stitching this part here twice, okay? Because obviously we do it on the first time round and then we do it on the second time round.